Welcome, everyone. No President of the United States of America on this podcast. Just an hour and a half of the best darn video game talk out there. Welcome to the Impact Factor. The Impact Factor is what happens when two scientists and two best friends get together to talk about video games. My name is Alex Samocha, and I'm joined this week, as I am every single week here on TIF, the Impact Factor, by the guy whose basketball record serves as a poor excuse to miss a weekend of gaming with me, unfortunately, my co-host, Charles Fliss.
Yeah, man, I spent way too much time this weekend playing physical sports and not enough time playing electronic sports. Yeah, esports.
Yeah, so how was that? So you, this kid, for as long as I've known him, has spent, his entirety of his free time. He must have some sort of, secretary I don't know about, because he schedules his free time like a crazy person, going from this activity to that activity, dabbling in, a million different things. Just in college one day, I found out, he's like, oh, hey, yeah, Alex, I'm taking up fiddling. I'm like, oh, really? Of course you are. Of course you're fiddling. Oh, and I'm glass blowing, too.
And, I kept with those for quite a long time. I just don't have access to a glass blowing studio or a fiddle teacher right now.
Yeah, you would glass blow.
I see what you're trying to bait me for. I'm not taking it. You're not going to get me to bite.
No, the bait's dangling pretty enticingly in this water here.
I don't even know where you're going with the water thing.
So tell the folks this basketball tournament that you attended, and please emphasize this record you had, this all-star team you've put together.
Oh man, okay, so I am not the coach of this team. I am one of the players probably dragging down this team. Our coach
probably
is a very patient guy. We went 1-4 at the tournament, which was not great, not what any of us wanted to, but we made big strides, and I think we'll be better at the next one.
You get that participation medal?
Everyone gets that participation medal.
that was the joke.
But what's more important than winning the tournament is winning the after party, and we won the after party.
I don't know if there's a metric by which that's scored, but okay. I'll give that to you, since I can't be there to say whether or not you in fact won the after party.
Well, I've got an empty case of Dr. Pepper and an empty bottle of whipped cream vodka to back me up.
Okay, fair. And drink responsibly, folks. The Impact Factor is where I bring my perspectives as a biomedical scientist and combine them with, and usually against, Fliss's social scientist worldview to have great discussions about video games. So we're still in the wake of E3 this week, but let's really boil down some of the biggest news that emerged from this past week, and a little bit of the lingering E3 aura that has really been touching both of our lives this past week. So let's get it started right away with some news and views.
News and views.
In an academic journal, News and Views collects the best recent events and findings. Here, Fliss and I scour through the week in video game news to find the stories with the biggest impact. So, Fliss, what do you think is the most impactful story from this week?
Well, for me, on a personal level, the biggest news is something that just happened a few hours ago, which is that Perception is funded. It is funded.
Woo! Perception is good to go.
Yep, I chipped in my little bit to help it work, and hopefully we'll have a really great game come out of this. So we've been talking about Perception for a couple weeks here on the Impact Factor, but it's a new horror game that will now, thanks to being funded on Kickstarter, be in development, and it's going to be made by a bunch of the people who made BioShock, which is extremely exciting.
Yeah, it's a talented group of people that are working on Perception, and I know last time we were watching it, we got nervous because there's only a couple days left, and they were still almost a third shy of what they needed. But yeah, I saw that they kind of pulled it out in the last second, and yeah, they got their $150K. It's a part of your money, too, has gone to fund that $150K.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It's the first game that I've ever backed on Kickstarter. It's actually the first thing I've ever backed on Kickstarter. And it's the first game that I haven't, in fact, pre-ordered.
Ooh. Yeah, I guess it... Though to be fair, to put you in the right mind space, stuff might happen on this. This is like a donation for the hope that you'll get this. Now, if it comes out, it's a pre-order. But if it doesn't come out, it's like hey, I like you guys. Here's some money.
And I'm okay with that. I acknowledge that. I'm ready for that. I think that these are really talented developers, and even more important than the track record that they've built is the proposal for the game for me, because we're always saying that we want new kinds of games, we want new games, and here we have all these spiritual successors and this outright successor with Shenmue 3, and now finally we're getting a game that is actually original. I'm not salty about Shenmue 3. I'm not salty.
Yeah, not salty at all. I haven't even checked their Kickstarter recently.
I don't want to know. Don't tell me. Don't tell me because I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
It's massive.
Just,
I'm sure.
How is it that we have these really talented people who want to make a really original style game scraping the barrel to try and get money for it? I mean, if you do not support independent projects as a gamer, you've got no right to complain about the companies giving you the same old crap. Because if that's what you're buying, that's how you're voting with your money.
Yeah, but Shenmue 3, I mean, people love Shenmue 2. It's a open world game, and there's puzzles, and Shenmue kind of invented the QuickTime event. Everyone loves QuickTime events.
Yeah, I love
right?
QuickTime events, right? Right? Don't you love QuickTime events? Look, I just want to, I want to show you, the folks at home can't see this, but I want you to see this. This is the field where I grow the cares. That's a nice word. The cares that I give about Shenmue 3, and behold, it is empty.
Yeah, it lays bare. No, I'm excited for Shenmue 3. You don't have to bad talk Shenmue 3. I think something cool come out of it. But I'm so glad Perception got funded. I'm left a little questioning because like the game, especially what they're showing on their Kickstarter, looks so. I mean, obviously it's for an indie game. Its graphics are more in line of some of these more high resolution 3D, indies we've seen like out of Fulbright with like Gone Home and now with Tacoma, or with like Adrift, and so I mean, there's certainly going to be an investment in that. But I'm sure these are what these developers are familiar with, having worked on the BioShock games. But 150K is such a small amount of money. Like for people who don't understand game development, that is chump change. Like games take usually a couple $1 million at least to develop. And so I hope that the team over there at Deep End Games knows what they're doing, and can use 150K to produce a product that people want, without getting I know how easy it is as a creator, certainly not as a video game creator, but just as someone who creates. I've got my experiments that I design and my blog and this podcast that you guys are listening to. So I understand the want for more and more access. So I just hope that, and it seems like they're poised to, but just they can trim down and deliver a solid package with what they have, with the money that they have.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I would not be surprised if they have to come back later and ask for more money. I would not, that kind of thing happens. I would be okay with that. I think for me, on a very personal level, right, I don't have anything against them making a Shenmue 3. I think what I'm more skeptical about is these big companies. We know Sony's involved in that. They've been, up until very recently, keeping where the money is going and where other funding is coming from really obscured. And I just don't like the idea as a consumer of being jerked around by a large company. And so with these small developers, I have confidence that, and maybe I'm wrong, but I have confidence that if they're asking me for $150,000, it's because they think that they can do something really great with it. And if they're wrong, people make mistakes, and I'm willing to forgive them about that. What I'm not willing to forgive is a big company that doesn't need my money making me pay extra money for them to even make a game that I want. I'm not down with that.
No, I feel that. And I'd say if this Kickstarter were coming a couple of years ago, I'd be much more skeptical, because there were so, like, at the advent of Kickstarter being big for video games, there's so many of those projects that asked for so little money, got funded, and then went on a highway to nowhere. But we've had the recent, kind of string of Kickstarter successes that have really, obviously Shovel Knight is a Kickstarter game, and that game is fantastic. It's awesome. So, I'm hopeful, and I'm really, congrats to the Deep End Games. Perception looks really cool. I want to pick it up when, eventually it comes out. Who knows when that'll be, but...
Yeah, it's something new, it's something inventive, so definitely congratulations to Deep End Games. Please work hard. We're cheering for you guys.
All right, a quick update, a little footnote to this story. Shenmue 3 is now at $3.6 million on Kickstarter.
Did you not hear me when I told you I didn't want to know? I'm going to go cry in my salty tear corner over here.
But, of course, Fliss, you, as always, choose the wrong story, because clearly the most impactful story this week is it's Batman week. Batman Arkham Knight launched 2 days ago. It launched on Tuesday.
Hey, Alex.
What?
It only launched on PS4. It didn't really launch on PC. This is Batman Week if you play on PS4.
Well, Xbox One. I haven't heard bad reports from Xbox One either, to be fair. Okay, but yeah, let's unpack this story a little bit. This has been a crazy week for Batman, both the anticipation and the reviews, and then the PC release. So, Batman reviews started flooding out early this week. Great reviews across the board. Even now, the game sits at something like a 90 on Metacritic, which is great. Polygon, which is a site both Fliss and I frequent, give it a 10 out of 10, so it's the best game this console generation. It's the best Batman game.
And I give a lot more weight to Polygon's 10 out of 10 than I give to GameSpot's 10 out of 10, which is what they give The Witcher.
Okay, it's true, because I was going to say, as I mentioned, GameSpot is so far the only real outlier, giving the game a 7 out of 10. But for people who kind of follow GameSpot reviews, their reviews can be pretty harsh. Like, they've had some pretty scathing reviews. Like, they gave The Last of Us, I think, a 7 out of 10 or something like that. Or, no, maybe that's Polygon. I don't know. I'm confusing everything. But they're like, when they don't like a game, they give it like a 5 or a 6. 7, they're like, they think it's okay, but there are flaws. Either way, so the game was met with huge critical praise. Everyone's excited. And I think for what to preface what's to follow next, I think it's still important to remember that everything I've read and everything I've heard, people really enjoy the game. People think it's great. I mean, aside from some Batmobile sections, everyone's having a good time with the game. However, oh man. So, after its launch with huge critical success, many say it's best in the series, I have it myself. I bought it. It got here yesterday. It's in my PS4. It's installed. I haven't had a chance to touch it yet, unfortunately, but I have it. But then the game released with crazy problems on the PC. Like, apparently it doesn't load well. There's huge frame rate issues. Like, it stutters and looks like a slideshow, dropping sometimes to single-digit frames per second. The 30 frames per second that the game is supposed to be locked at and run on, you can change that, but even though WB, the publisher, said that you're not supposed to unlock this frame rate, the only way to make your game actually kind of run at all is to unlock that frame rate through like going into the some of the code or whatever. It's glitchy, it's buggy, sound and textures, and like apparently it looks, even on the highest settings, like they don't have wet textures apparently, because one of the things they introduced is like, Gotham is raining, so Batman, his bat cowl have like, wet textures, and you could see the water droplets, but those aren't anywhere to be found in like the PC version.
Yeah, I gotta give some credit to GameSpot. They put up an amazing side-by-side image of the PC version and the PS4 version, like one of those screenshots cut down the middle, and oh man, it is not good for PC.
It doesn't look good, which
it just looks terrible.
The PC is like what you see like every time you see a gameplay demo at E3 or something like that. So having E3 been recently, a lot of the times, at least in the past, it's been faked. Like, it's just been running on a PC because that's where it looks the best. Because you can put in these crazy graphics cards, these crazy memory, this crazy RAM that far exceeds the 8 gigabytes of RAM and the memory cards that are in the PS4 and the Xbox One. So that would be bad enough. So to give kind of, this is not to give you credit, but just to give clarification, this was not done by Rocksteady themselves. WB and Rocksteady shipped out the Batman Arkham Knight to a third-party PC port publishing house. Like, people who are, their job is basically to convert these console versions into PC versions. However, that's created a lot of issues in the past. We haven't been podcasting long enough to talk about this at any great length, but so many console games have horrible, buggy, poorly optimized ports on the PC, like interfaces that require them to, not use a keyboard and mouse to navigate the menus, and they just kind of recapitulate using a D-pad to move through the menus, which for PC players doesn't make any sense at all. Like, why would I have to scroll up and down in a menu where I could just click the one I want? And technical issues, but this Batman Arkham Knight seems to be one of the worst of recent memory, with just it and Assassin's Creed Unity seem like just the PC release is just bugged to hell and just almost to an unplayable state.
In fact, some people would say that it's an unplayable state, and I think the real story here is how well the Steam return system is working, because several people have been able to return their copy of Batman Arkham Knight.
Thank God for that. Exactly. Batman Arkham Knight really highlights why Steam needed refunds, because you keep getting these console publishers making these PC ports that just don't work and are not a recapitulation of what you would be experiencing if you played on the console. And so to dig themselves an even deeper hole, at first WB and Rocksteady did some horrible damage control trying to
man. Just awful. You want a masterclass in how to be bad at PR? There you go. There it is. They're going to be competing with Destiny, which I'm sure we'll talk about later.
Yes, we will.
But this was the week of PR departments shaking their heads, man.
Yeah, come on. Or fans shaking their heads. I don't even know. So there's a NeoGAF thread where some guy commented like, PC players, quit complaining. You know, the game's out. The game's great. You've seen the reviews. Just wait. There's going to be a patch that fixes things. And then the NeoGAF people did what NeoGAF people do and investigated the guy. And it turns out he's like affiliated with some account that's a marketing, like one of the marketing team for WB. No. And then like a lot of stuff coming out of WB first is just like, well, just wait, blah blah blah, and don't buy it. Of course, though, with all these, especially with Batman, where it has all these crazy pre-order bonuses and exclusive retailer pre-order stuff, and you get so much of this content by pre-ordering the game because that's where we're at games. A lot of these people, might have pre-bought it, and so they're, without something like the Steam refund program, they'd be SOL to get the refund. And so, Rocksteady put out a statement that's like, okay, we're really sorry. We take this very personally. Yeah, we know that this is an issue, and have started kind of moving back the control. The moving back the discourse to something they would want. But that's still, it's still an issue. There still hasn't been a patch. We're 2 days out. I've heard some people on PC, and okay, these are all anecdotal because neither of us have played it on the PC. That some people are able to play it fine, some people aren't. Of course, things like this always get blown out of proportion. So I think it's just important to note here. Like, I remember the big whole debacle with Assassin's Creed Unity is you'd have people whose faces were disappearing, and you just see their eyeballs and their teeth floating. It was hilarious. But the thing is, like, you had to have a very specific graphics card using very specific drivers to have that happen in any kind of regular frequency. It's just like a couple people who did that. But because it happened to some group of people, it seemed like, everyone thought like, if you played it on PC, your people would have disappearing faces, which wasn't the case. However, nobody's copy of the game should be glitching like this.
Right, I just, like with Assassin's Creed Unity, there were a lot of mistakes that were made, but with Batman here, I just don't understand if you're one of these companies where you make your business porting these games over, how are you not playing this on not enough different systems to know that there are these really big bugs? Like, how are you missing these things? This shouldn't be happening. And
yeah, it shouldn't. You shouldn't be releasing it. Like,
right.
Not done. Clearly this hasn't been optimized. I'm sure on the specific computers and the specific set of computers and builds they tested, it worked. But the thing with a PC, the PC gaming space is there's so many different builds and so many different parts and so many different motherboards and VRAMs and video cards and CPUs that people use that you got to make sure it works on everything.
And that's part of what makes PC gaming great. It's part of what makes using a PC great. But it does mean that if it's your business to make games for PC, you better make games for a whole bunch of different PCs. Like, you gotta optimize that. You gotta make that work. And personally, again, as a gamer, full disclosure, right? Primarily a console gamer. Really, I should say I am a console gamer because, other than like Heroes of the Storm and Lethal League, I don't play very much on my PC right now. But
Hearthstone, don't forget Hearthstone.
Yeah, Hearthstone. But even that's on my phone now, man.
Yeah, no, you just play on a phone.
Yeah, it's great.
Mobile.
I could just lie in bed, play Hearthstone. It's awesome. But even so, I am always more willing to wait and have a game delayed than I am to be given a broken game. Delay the game. Tell me it's not ready. Be honest with me about that.
Yeah, funny you should mention that. So one of the things that happened just last night, and I'm glad I caught this, was that now WB has removed Batman from Steam. So Batman Arkham Knight can no longer be purchased on Steam. Essentially removing, PC sales. Because, people use GOG and, Green Man Gaming and stuff like that and other sources. But primarily, most of these PC users that are having issues were people who bought it through Steam. And, of course, they can get refunds. But you don't want to sell a broken product on Steam. And so this is, in some way, WB trying to appeal themselves back to the fans, be like, look, we're not going to make any money on this game until it's fixed, because previously, before last night, you could have still bought it, not having, say someone you booted up Steam, you saw Batman was on there, and you're like, oh, I love Batman, I love the previous Batman games, but I don't really follow video game news. I'm just gonna buy it. And then everyone's like, so now they're doing that, and it's a good gesture.
Hey, man, I'm just saying, if you get to swear on this podcast, I get to swear on this podcast. I'm putting that I'm gonna bleep
it. I'm gonna bleep it.
I was very, very good about editing myself.
All right.
Well, the way I talk normally, I am being really good about censoring myself here.
Well, the fans, I don't know. We'll see if I edit this out too. But if not, they're just gonna hear. They're not gonna know what you're talking about because it's not going to exist. The power of editing.
Dear God, he's gone mad with power.
Oh, I Frankenstein some stuff together sometimes. People will never know how awful you sound when I. No, just kidding. Got to do all these crazy fade effects. No, it's all good. But yeah, so that's a good move. It's a good move. But just what does it say about the state of like these developers? Like I thought 2014 was the year of broken like game releases, and to be fair, like it runs great on PS4. I haven't heard anything about the Xbox One, and the game is great, which makes it even more frustrating. It's not Assassin's Creed Unity, which had people were kind of lukewarm on the game itself anyway. This is a game that people are really excited about, and I know all these issues don't really affect me personally, and I've been excited for Batman, so I'm really, really excited to jump in and play Batman, but it just sucks for so many of those people who play on PC who wanted to play Batman who now can't.
Yeah, I'm excited about Batman. I'm right there with you. I love Batman, but they need to be releasing games that work, and if you're listening... Everybody who presented games that I was super hype about at E3, I'm looking at you, Bethesda. I am talking about Doom. Delay it. Do not release it broken. Please give us a game that works.
Well, we know Fallout is gonna be kind of broken. Those games always are. Like, those big open world games from Bethesda, they're always weird glitches and stuff, and, God. Hopefully they've moved away from... Hopefully there's less game-breaking ones, at least.
Well, they've got to be careful, because... with that beautiful collector's edition with that working Pip-Boy, I mean, they are literally selling out on pre-orders. So they got to release a good game to back that up.
Yeah. So unfortunately, this puts a sour note on one of the biggest releases of the year. It sucks that it happens. It sucks that these developers really, with how big PC gaming is and will continue to be in the future, people really need to spend the effort to put in a good amount of resources and good energy and really carefully select either their in-house studio or out-of-house studio that are going to make these PC ports, because it's important. And honestly, all of that rage and vitriol you see, a lot of it comes from these PC gamers, because they're the people who are on their computer all the time. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, speaking of rage and speaking of things going wrong...
Let's stay negative for a while. It sucks that these two stories are kind of like the biggest stories for the week, coming right out of like E3. It's like, oh man, come on. I was so like thrilled. Video games are awesome. There's new cool stuff on the way. I can't wait to play this and that, and oh my god. And it's like, oh, yeah, there's sucky stuff too.
All right, well, I'll take us in here a little bit.
All right, give us a lead in.
Yeah, okay, so Destiny, obviously a huge IP, first-person shooter, multiplayer... Lots of devoted fans. Had some issues. I know that, speaking of those issues, it did not hold your attention, which has been a big problem.
Yeah, it's a game that held my attention admirably, it held my attention for a month and a half. I pretty much, for a month and a half, only played Destiny, which is a substantial amount of time. Probably easily over 100-something hours, 150 hours. But then I fell off of it.
You haven't touched it since then?
Nope, I haven't touched it since mid-October.
Right, so that's... really a long time, so that's a big deal, especially for a game that relies on releasing new content, and they've been doing a good job of that. They've released expansions, and they're releasing this new expansion, The Taken King, that's coming out this fall. That's really cool. That's really great. It's going to be a $40 expansion,
God.
But don't worry, because if you're not already in on the Destiny train, they want you in there, so you can get a really awesome collector's edition with the original game and the other expansions and the Taken King expansion, and it's all sweetened up by exclusive content.
Yeah, you can new dances, new emotion. You could there's Destiny's it takes an inspiration from an MMO, so you can do dance emotions or point and stuff. And so they added new emotes that are exclusive to this collector's edition, new shaders to make your armor look different colors, and new class items that class items are basically kind of decorative flair on your character, but these ones give you an experience boost. So just a couple, they're smaller things, but they're still stuff that hardcore Destiny people would care about.
And they are locked, or they were locked, into this beautiful collector's edition, which means that, Alex, if you want this exclusive content, you've got to rebuy a whole bunch of stuff.
Yep. Anyone who's bought, so let's break down the financials here. Let's say someone was hardcore Destiny, hardcore from the beginning, $60 on release, and then you could buy it together with a discounted expansion pass, which I think was $25. We're just gonna say $25 because I think they're $15 a piece, and then if you bought them together, it would have been whatever. I think there was a discount. So that's $85 right there. That's Destiny. That's its first expansion, which was The Dark Below, I believe, and then House of Wolves, which just released in May. So that's an $85 right there. But now, if you wanted this exclusive content, you have to spend another $80 rebuying the game, rebuying The Dark Below, rebuying House of Wolves to get the Taken King plus this exclusive content. So that's like $160 something, $165 you've now sunk into Destiny over the course of a year.
Yeah, man. So obviously people were really upset about this. The internet was alive and well with rage from console gamers about Destiny. And
it's only on console.
And, it was not helped by some pretty tone-deaf interviews.
Oh, God. Yeah. I'm going to space the name right now. I really should have written it down. But, yeah, so, okay, even if you didn't get the Collector's Edition, you'd still be at about $120, $130. Because each DLC, if you bought it separately, is like $15 or $20. And then this expansion is $40. And the expansion contains one new subclass for each class, a couple new strikes they haven't detailed, and a new raid. And that's a good amount of content. It's more than their previous ones have had, but... Really? $40? $40. I thought the Batman Arkham Knight expansion season pass for $40 was crazy, but $40 for one piece of download content? That's like Blizzard level pricing.
Yeah, man, that is reach all the way into your wallet pricing.
Yeah. So the bad Destiny news week does not stop there. So it came out the other day that as part of the Taken King expansion, there's going to be this exclusive, awesome quest where you're traveling the galaxy, blah, blah, doing stuff. But the only way to access it before January 1st, when it releases for everyone, you can access it on the release day of the Taken King, September 1st, if you buy a special marked can of Red Bull at a 7-Eleven with the promotion code on it.
This is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh my god. I promise you folks, we'll have more positive stories after these two, but these two were the ones that really took up the narrative of video game discussion this week.
Hey man, we were hype about Perception at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, but so not only is it dumb to have content that you need to buy a product for, like, I guess to their credit, Activision Call of Duty only had like a bonus experience, like, stim packs you could buy with buying Mountain Dew or Doritos or whatever for Call of Duty. But now, like, this is an exclusive quest. Like, this is a piece of, like, content. And so it baffles me. Like, yeah, I get whatever. They think, like, the people who are playing at Destiny, and people play Destiny a lot. Like, back when it was, like, first out, I'm not sure if it's still like this, but the average length of a session of a Destiny player was over, like, 2.5 hours. So, like, people play that game a lot. But so not only do you have to buy this Red Bull, which is, just, I don't know, Red Bull's gross. I don't like Red Bull, but whatever. It's dumb that you would have to buy this 4-pack of Red Bull to, like, get this cans anyway. And then it's supposedly exclusive to 7-Elevens, and so some states don't even have 7-Elevens, let alone some countries don't even have 7-Elevens, like Europe and stuff. So this content is completely locked off to people, pretty much to people in the United States who have a 7-Eleven that they know, that's relatively close to them, that, and there's no guarantee that 7-Eleven is going to carry these Destiny-labeled Red Bull cans. And then, like, sure, yes, fine, everyone can play it January 1st, but the difference between the access to the content from September 1st to January 1st is huge. I'd be fine maybe if it were, like, 2 weeks or something, or a week, like, go out and buy Red Bull, and then blah, blah, blah. You can get, like, you can get it a week or 2 weeks early, but, like, several months? And why isn't this just part of the DLC pack anyway? Like, you're buying this $40 DLC pack, The Taken King. You can't have this one extra quest in it that you've clearly already made.
Man, here's the thing. you're always after me to jump on to the next generation of gaming, and we're going to talk later about some things that might influence me doing that. But this is why I don't play new games. This is why I wait. This is why I wait 5 years to play a game, because you know what? Batman's story is going to be just as good in 5 years as it is right now. And in 5 years, all that DLC is going to be going on sale for like $1. And I'm not getting milked like this. And I feel terrible for the people who really love Destiny, who are really big fans of it, who have invested time in it, because they're getting screwed. They're getting royally screwed. You want to talk about getting milked? They're getting milked like a dairy cow right now.
I know. And I mean, even I felt that. Like, one of the main reasons why I dropped Destiny was the Bungie and the Destiny team behind it have consistently and constantly done things that harm the players who play them most. Like, I'd collected all of these exotic weapons, which are like the rarest, most powerful weapons, blah, blah, blah. I'd gotten a lot of them. But then when they announced the first DLC pack, they're like, oh, all those exotics now to like deal with a new level cap, these are all old. So you have to go to this merchant, turn them in to get new versions, and then completely level those up again. And Destiny is already a huge grind. Like, I really enjoyed my time with Destiny, but it's not a 10 out of 10 game. It's not even like an 8 out of 10 game. I'd say it's like a 6 or a 7 out of 10 game. There's no story. It's so repetitive. It's very, very grindy, monotonous kind of stuff. But then so like it punishes you there, and then like I've been casually following it since then, and constantly they're punishing the people who play the most. And so if you've never played Destiny and you wanted to play it, I mean, obviously this new version in the fall, which comes with all DLC, is great for you. But it sucks that increasingly you're like, well, even with like Batman, I've heard people be like, well, I'm just gonna wait till the Game of the Year edition where it comes out with all the DLC. It's gonna. That's kind of the state that a lot of these things are at right now.
Well, and this is what's going to happen as long as they continue releasing overpriced DLC and then later releasing collector's editions, because the collector's editions are such a huge savings. And it's such a big deal. I mean, look at what they were charging for the Mortal Kombat DLC.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy. They charge because they know that the people who buy it at launch are more likely to be the people who will pay premium prices for content. And speaking of that, Destiny also, in like some sort of memo they sent to like Red Bull's, like, Destiny players are used to paying a premium for content, which is like, oh god, oh man. But so Bungie has tried to do some, like OWB has tried to do some damage control this week. And so in a couple interviews earlier this week, they're like, look, we just haven't talked about the stuff that these old players, these veterans are going to get. There's going to be a lot of sweet perks, a lot of cool stuff for veteran players. So just hold on and wait for that. We're just talking about this, which, whatever, fair enough. We'll see how cool any of this free content is going to be. But then there was still outrage that, like, okay, yeah, fine, you give us perks, but there's still these exclusive shaders, these exclusive dances that we have no access to unless you buy a collector's edition. So what are we going to do about that? And so the guy who had this very glib interview came off, he described himself as an ass in it. He's like, okay, look, we get it. I think his name's like Luke Smith or something. He's like, look, we get it. We understand. Yeah, we were wrong. We totally agree with you guys. Side note, if they agree with us, why did they do this in the first place? Anyway, they're like, we agree. So we're gonna sell this exclusive content. You can get it outside of the collector's pack. The price for these shaders, these class items,
lay it on me.
Dances, $20. $20.
Are you kidding? Are you making that up?
No, nope. So if you wanted to buy, let's just say you were a veteran Destiny player. You wanted to buy the Taken King, but you really wanted those exclusive dances and shaders and stuff, you'd be dropping another $60 on the game.
I hope you're making this up. You're just pulling my leg. These are not real prices.
Nope. So Destiny tried and failed miserably to be like, look guys, we're not so bad. We'll only charge you $20 for these dances and stuff. Oh, alright, let's get to some more positive. That's enough of this.
Just as a quick side note here, real quick side note here, Alex. You were right, that is Luke Smith. And that was an interview done by Tom Phillips. So you can check that out, guys, if you're interested.
I think it's on Eurogamer originally.
Yeah. And so give that a look. There's a lot of analysis about it. Even Forbes is covering it. So
yeah,
check it out. Yeah. It's worth looking about. Alex, take us into some happier news.
Okay. Let's do this. We're already running along, but we talked about this last time. Street Fighter V. Had a big presence at E3. And I'm confused. I've actually heard someone I talked to, or it's not someone I talked to, someone I listened to on a podcast, DLC, Christian Spicer, talking about this. I'm actually really not sure why Street Fighter V wasn't bigger news at E3. This game looked exceptional. Street Fighter V looked great. I was watching, I constantly, when I was doing my E3 coverage, had a stream up of the Capcom fighters watching the Street Fighter V play. And it sucks, and I think he said it really, Christian Spicer said it really well, that, like, part of it is that, one, people are so afraid of fighting games because they have this, like, ooh, ye shall not pass, ye are doomed to suck at this game. But then also people, I think, are misremembering how good or how bad Street Fighter 4 looked. Because I've heard a lot of people be like, oh, Street Fighter 5 just looks like Street Fighter 4. It's like, have you played Street Fighter 4? They look totally different. They look totally different. Street Fighter 5 looks gorgeous compared to Street Fighter 4. I mean, I love Street Fighter 4, don't get me wrong. I think it's a great looking game too. But they look totally different.
I've spent a lot of time staring at Super Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 5. Yeah, it looks totally different. It looks beautiful. It's gorgeous. The animation just, I can't even describe how good it looks. I'm so excited about Street Fighter 5. And, you know, one thing that I think that I really want to get at here, that I think is really interesting about this problem that fighting games have, this image that fighting games have as being impossible, what you just described as a ye shall not pass problem, is kind of a problem that is endemic to quote-unquote serious games. And fighting games are a quote-unquote serious game. They are the leaders of esports when it comes to consoles. Even I think beyond first-person shooters, and people will argue with me about that.
I'll argue with you, especially because a lot of the people in the fighting game community don't want to call themselves esports.
Yeah, okay, well, the fighting game terms, look, I'm just saying that EVO is such a huge event,
True,
and we could look at EVO as this huge esports meetup. If you really want to, you can view it that way. And, you know, there is no other competition or event where you sit down and watch like 10 different games nonstop that are all fighting games at super high levels of competition.
I mean, I just like watching. I think fighting game, for me personally, is one of the best esports or competitive gaming or whatever you want to call it to watch, because it's like one-on-one skill. Like, you can, everyone who's watching can kind of at least know kind of what's going on and who's winning and who's not winning. You can look at the health bars. It's I think it has some of the best viewer experience, and I think, you know, needing to work better, make it bigger. But anyway, we're just talking about Street Fighter V here. So Birdie and Cammy released as new characters, so that brings the character count up to 5. There's Nash, Ryu, Chun-Li, Bison, Cammy, and Birdie. I guess that's 6. Whatever. I can't count. But then, out of E3, there's a lot of technical details. So bear with us for a moment. We won't spend too long on this because, again, I know, aside from Fliss and I don't know how many of their listeners are super into, like, the technical of fighting game stuff. But it looks like Street Fighter V...
Give us a shout. Tell us what you're interested in.
Yeah, please. If you want to hear more fighting game talk, I'm sure Fliss and I would love to go into it.
We will be nothing but smiles. Please tell
definitely.
us you want to hear more fighting game talk. Please.
But under the direction of Ono and Combo Fiend Peter Rosas, who is a former pro player of both Street Fighter and Marvel, he is working now kind of as the new Seth Killian for fighting games. So Seth Killian is kind of one of these lead designers of Ultra Street Fighter 4, and had been in the fighting game community forever. Peter Rosas, or Combo Fiend, is kind of having, it seems to me at least, that he's kind of having this role with Street Fighter 5, kind of shaping a lot of the design philosophies behind it. And a lot of these design philosophies kind of move away from a lot of what Street Fighter 4 did, and make me really, really excited. And I think people who play more casually should be really excited too. So one of the big issues that prevented people from getting into Street Fighter 4 is it's executionally extremely difficult. It's probably one of the hardest Street Fighters, aside from maybe Street Fighter 3, hardest executional game. So that's like pulling off the button and the stick movements at the right time and the right timing is so hard in Ultra Street Fighter 4, even compared to other Street Fighter games. So that makes it hard to get into. And then as well, the game is a very, very defensive game. Like, there are so many good defensive tools with the focus attacks and the focus attack dash cancels and the crouch teching and a ton of really powerful option selects, which I'm not even going to spend the time defining. But anyway, that might all sound like, you know, gabbity-gook to you guys. But these things all allowed for defensive play to be rewarded much more than aggressive play.
And that's a big problem in fighting games, and especially when it comes to watching fighting games, that's a real problem because matches take a long time, and if you watch some really high-level Street Fighter play, which I would encourage you to do because it is interesting to see, but it is very much people moving in and out of blocks and waiting for the right moment to strike. And so it'll be like 5 minutes of blocking and then like 30 seconds of attacking, and that's your match. And they wanted to change that when they were going into this game, and it sounds like they're doing a really great job doing that.
Yeah, so, this kind of philosophy is to really reward aggression more, to make quicker matches, and to, like, make it more like... It's more about the spacing. You have your characters, like how you are spacing their character, understanding the distance of your attacks, understanding the distance of your opponent's attacks, and much more about footsies and spacing and easy, quick, short combos than it is about longer combos or hard pull-off moves or stuff like that. And I think that's a real step in the right direction. So just a couple of things that I kind of gleaned from the E3 coverage. There's going to be more target combos than there are frame-linked, like really tightly frame-linked combos. So target combos are where, let's say you had an attack that was like light kick, medium kick, hard kick. And like that's a combo. And if you pushed them, that would like do a 1, 2, 3 hit where your opponent couldn't block in between. Pretty much means as long as you press those buttons in succession and the first attack hits, the rest of the attack animations will go through and you'll do the 3-hit combo. So you go 1, 2, 3, and the timing is pretty flexible there. Whereas frame-linked, you have to, like, at a certain frame in the animation, when one of your attacks is going out, in those couple of frames, or sometimes single frame, as the case in a lot of moves, a lot of combos in Street Fighter 4, you have to press that button. So, in 1/60th, or sometimes, even up as much as 3/60ths of a second, that's your only window to press that next button to have it actually combo. Otherwise, if you press it too early, the move won't come out, or if you press it too late, the move can be blocked.
And this is all really complicated, but what this basically breaks down to, and perhaps the simplest way to define it and kind of break into what Alex is talking about here, is that a target combo is a series of button presses that, if you execute those button presses correctly, will give you a combo. So as long as you know the sequence in which to press them, and you press them with relatively the right timing, you get your target combo to come out. And this was really powerful for certain characters in Street Fighter 4. Dudley is a personal favorite of mine who had a very, very good target combo. And this made these characters very newbie friendly, right? Because as long as you practice a little bit and remember your target combo, it's much more about remembering the order in which the buttons are to be pressed than it is about getting the muscle memory of the timing. Whereas a frame link combo, because you have such a narrow window in which you can press the buttons, your button presses may be simpler, but the timing is far more difficult, and that's what requires the hours and hours and hours of muscle memory practice to pull off in a competitive game.
Yeah, just speaking of Dudley, he has, I think, a combination that's very powerful. That's one frame, like I mentioned. Like you have 1/60th of a second in between the first move and the second move to press that button. Otherwise, it will not combo. So, yeah, it's great. Anyway, so they also said they're going to be emphasizing on shorter combos that deal more damage, so attacks just will do more damage in general to make the matches quicker. Again, they're rewarding this aggressive play this way, and then they've removed a couple of these strong defensive options. There's no more focus attacks. There's no more crouch teching. So everything looks great. There's like a couple new meters, and like a lot of the meters get filled up by doing attacks. Like this, your V gauge gets filled up by doing special V skill attacks, and a lot of those, some of those are defensive. Like Ryu has a parry in that, but others are like offensive. Like Birdie eats a donut or throws a banana or some crazy stuff.
I'm a little sad about the focus attacks being taken out because I spent so much time learning how to use them.
Whatever, it's a new game. Everyone's starting from scratch, so I guess that's all the time we'll spend on it. But it looks great. It looks fast. It looks fun. The beta starts late July, and I know I'm against pre-ordering games, but I'm really tempted to pre-order this just so I can play the beta.
Don't do it.
I want to play the beta.
Alex,
Let's go. I want to have Street Fighter 5 in my hands.
Don't do it. Look,
I could cancel the pre-order.
We are preachers of the no pre-order school. That is
I know.
That is our mission here. That is one of the things you gotta stick to your guns, brother.
Yeah, alright, fair enough.
Also, you're going to be too busy playing Star Wars Battlefront with me.
Yeah, okay, we'll see. Once you get a PS4, we'll talk.
Well, speaking of me getting a PS4, how about the new PS4 model that just got announced?
Ooh, tell the folks about it.
Right, well, there's this new PS4 that's going to be the same price, same storage, that's 500 gigabytes of storage, plus 8% less power consumption, it's 10% lighter, and it's got a very slight outward appearance tweak, which I think looks really nice.
One of the panels goes from gloss to matte. It's whatever.
I like it. I like the matte finish. My beautiful little PS3 has a matte finish, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, so it's only been officially announced, I think, for the EU and Japan, not for the US yet. But yeah, it's not the biggest news, but Xbox One announced like they had that new terabyte model and some price cuts, and I predicted Sony might do a price cut, and I guess they feel confident enough with what they showed at E3 and confident enough with their lead in console generation that they don't need to cut it yet.
Why would you cut the price? They're winning the console war by millions of units. Why would you cut the price?
Just to keep people happy, and because their fall is weaker than Xbox's fall.
Yeah, but I mean, Sony is also a Japanese company.
Well, and Sony, the company, is not doing so great.
Yeah.
PlayStation's doing well, but Sony is not.
Yeah, Sony's not doing so hot. I mean, they keep making bad Spider-Man movies, so there's a place you could cut. And hey, off topic, but I'm really disappointed that we're not going to get Miles Morales as the new Spider-Man. I'm really disappointed about that.
No, just Tom Holland. Tom Holland. Well, I mean...
Here's my message to you, Sony. If you want me to pay money for more of your crappy Spider-Man movies, then I want to see a non-white Spider-Man. I don't want to see another British white guy. I don't want to see an American white guy. I want to see Spider-Woman or Miles Morales.
Yeah.
That's the Spider-Man movie I want.
I mean, I feel ya. I mean, it's kind of like I got my hopes up because the day before that, Marvel announced that in the Marvel comic book canon, Miles Morales is Spider-Man now.
Yeah,
like,
big
that
changes,
he is the Spider-Man.
Yeah, and Falcon
he's not just like another interpretation. What?
Falcon is the Captain America right now.
Yeah. But like, so it's good that they're like, it's not just there's Peter Parker and Miles. There's like Miles is the Spider-Man,
which is awesome.
But then, of course, cinematic universe, whatever. I guess if they had Miles, I guess their fear would be, well, people wouldn't know who Miles is, and people are like, why is Peter Parker, this kid?
I feel like since they've announced that they are going to get Spider-Man into the Avengers, what an opportunity that is being missed.
Yeah.
And Avengers already having image problems with the way it represents minorities and women, as in doesn't really represent minorities or women at all.
Well, hey, Falcon's now in it for... Oh, spoilers.
Yeah, well, that's okay. I forgive you.
Oh,
I read the comics,
come on.
so I already have
When does that come out? When does that come out in your zone, in your region?
July 3rd.
Oh, my God. Hey, soon.
Yeah, man. You will be hearing my thoughts here.
Wait, you said Mad Max comes out first. When does that come out?
Mad Max came out on the 20th.
Oh, you haven't seen it yet?
I was playing basketball. Yeah, it's okay. You go ahead. Go ahead. Nerd shame me. I'm ready.
I'm not nerd shaming, but you should really see it.
Yeah, man. But I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna see it this weekend. It's happening. It's happening this weekend.
Good. So, okay, good. But yeah, no, new PS4 model's cool. Maybe it'll sway Fliss to start moving closer towards a purchase.
Yeah. So just to be clear here, we're getting two new PS4 models. We're getting the power efficient one, which is currently announced for Japan, and then with a later release date for EU, and then a possible release date for North America, and then we have an EU only one that is a 1 terabyte model that is not officially bound for anywhere else yet.
But you gotta assume they'll probably come over here at some point.
But even so, I mean, it is so easy to swap out the hard disks on your PS4. It was super easy to do on your PS3. Sony, to their credit, PlayStation, to their credit, has really great instructions on their website. So this is really pushing me, man. The new model looks super nice. I really like that white color scheme. Would just look super nice. And especially I think I'm kind of in that mode, having watched that trailer for Battlefront with Hoth, where I think that's what's kind of drawing me to that
PS4. Okay.
PS4. And that white controller looks nice, man. I'm all about alt color controllers. I've got a bright red see-through controller for my PS3. That's my main controller.
So that's good. That's good. Hopefully it'll push you closer. You need to have one at least by March 2016 when Street Fighter V is supposed to come out.
Right, and that's really my ulterior motive for telling you to not get it on the beta, because I don't want you to already be better than me when it officially comes out.
No, I'm gonna be better. All right, so we're running long here, but there's a lot of stuff we want to talk about. So let's jump into quick Nintendo news. There's some Nintendo news that came out that was good. Woohoo!
Yeah,
good Nintendo news.
Good news for Nintendo.
One that's kind of sad, but one that's cool. So, the sad one we'll go over quickly. A report came out of Nintendo Life. They had an exclusive insider report that when the Wii U was launching, Nintendo approached the Criterion, which is the developer of Burnout, which are these really fast, crazy, explosive, arcadey racing games that people really like. People really like the Burnout series. I've played one of them. They're goofy, they're fun, they're fast. That Nintendo approached Criterion and said, "Hey, can you make a new F-Zero game for the Wii U?" And I know F-Zero is not like the most popular IP, but I loved the F-Zero games I played. I loved the one like the Super Nintendo. I played one on the Game Boy Advance, which I think was just a port of the Super Nintendo one, and then F-Zero GX on the GameCube. I spent a ton of time on. Brutally hard, but so fast and so fun. And people have been clamoring for a new F-Zero for a long time, and so it sucks it didn't happen. Criterion was like, they were going through like some like turnover, and they didn't have a lot of capital, and they were kind of afraid of doing that, so that's why it didn't work out. But man, wouldn't that have been awesome? An F-Zero game
amazing.
from Criterion? Oh, God.
You know, man, I'm all about great multiplayer experiences. I'm all about racing games that are fun, and I love that kind of futuristic racing game. I like Wipeout a whole lot, which is probably the most comparable thing we've had to a new F-Zero.
Well, there hasn't been a new Wipeout in a long time either.
Yeah. Although, maybe get one through Kickstarter. We'll see what happens. Spiritual successor. You know. What are they going to call it? Like Wipe In? I don't know. But
Wipe off.
Yeah, but it's sad. It's sad that Wii U didn't get that. That would have been probably a small but important boost for the console. Hopefully they'll learn from that mistake, and when they launch the NX, they'll give us an F-Zero with it.
Yeah, hopefully if Nintendo actually cares about making an F-Zero, which this report would seem to suggest they did, but previously it seemed like Nintendo was just happy to let F-Zero die. Just Captain Falcon and Smash. That's enough, right? That's all people care about. So that's cool. I would have been excited for that. It's sad.
Captain Falcon is, by all accounts, kind of nerfed right now in Smash 4.
Oh, really? I've been following the patch notes for that.
Yeah, well, compared to previous Smash games, he's not showing his moves.
Show your moves.
Now that we got that out of the way, let's move on to some good news. The new Fire Emblem game, Fire Emblem Fates, will be releasing with 2 different editions in the United States. That is Conquest and Birthright, I believe, are the names of those 2 editions. And what's cool about those is that in each of those editions, you will have the option of doing a same-sex marriage. Marriage, obviously, a cool mechanic in that game. It does give you a stat boost. It links your characters together. Pretty cool way that works in-game. But something that fans have been clamoring for a while, something that was not available in the Japanese versions of the game. And so
of course.
it's a little, I think it's a little lame that you have to choose which edition you want to buy based on like which, you know, same-sex marriage you want to have. I think it would be cool to be able to play that as a perfectly straight gamer. I think it would be cool to be able to do that and just explore those things in game. I think that would be a really good step for games to allow straight gamers to want to play that. We already have like male gamers playing female gamers, and that, or excuse me, playing female characters, and that's not.
Well, that's right. That's all I do.
yeah, big difference. And you know, that's a big deal. I mean, obviously, you know, female gamers have had to play with male avatars for a long time, but I think it's a good step. It's a big step. You know, Nintendo has had a fair amount of well-deserved flack thrown their way for the way they've mishandled their. I don't want to say PR, but their kind of public stance.
Representation.
Yeah,
the representation of anything other than their weird stuff or white kind of male characters.
Right. And so this is good. It's good to see it in Fire Emblem, which is a game in which relationships are a big selling point.
Huge
yeah.
deal. Yeah.
So it's good. It kind of helps soothe the Tomodachi Life issues.
Oh, God.
So good news.
Let's go into those Tomodachi Life issues. Thank you for bringing that up, Fliss. Yeah, so Tomodachi Life is a great, goofy, weird, zany game. Justine played it, and I kind of like watched her play it and helped her, or like watched over her do stuff. And it's great. You know, it's Tomodachi Life, for those who don't know. You basically use Miis that you make in the Mii Maker, and you put them on this island. There's a bunch of random stuff you can do. You can feed them. They have apartments. You can have them like just work jobs or do news reports or go at the fountain and do stuff, and you like dress them up and you can decorate their apartment, and you can also like but one of the key things is that they can form relationships. Certain of your Miis will like other Miis and blah blah blah. But because Nintendo is Nintendo, or because Japan is Japan, or because games are games, whatever way you want to frame this, it was not able in-game to have male-male or female-female relationships. The Miis would not be capable. They could form a friendship, but they couldn't have a relationship.
Which is a real problem, because as I recall, your Mii was really digging my Mii in Justine's game.
Oh yeah. You were a pop star, man. You're always singing at the stage.
Yeah, man. I saw some of those screenshots you guys sent my way. I loved them. I loved that. You guys made me way sexier than I am in real life.
Yeah, you had a good look at me. But the thing is, the crazy thing about Tomodachi Life is, so it released in Japan that way. This was intended. And I'm going to use quotation fingers here. I know I keep using it on the podcast, but there was a glitch in the Japanese release which allowed players to have same-sex relationships work. And then when they released Tomodachi Life for the West, for the US, Nintendo fixed this glitch and no longer allowed same-sex relationships to happen. And then I guess probably retroactively patched it on the Japanese version. What a bummer. Why would they remove that? Like, for a game that you're trying to recapitulate, life and stuff? So, what if you knew, you had, gay friends or, gay couple friends, and you put them in game and they couldn't be in a relationship. Like, you couldn't, like, try to recapitulate real life in Tomodachi Life, which was kind of the point. Is to put people and try to, like, make them fall in love with each other and have, these adventures and stuff. So, what a bummer. But Nintendo has been taking, like, so this Fire Emblem Fates is a really good step. And this past year, at least, and into this next year, it seems like Nintendo is making some concerted efforts to try to have better kind of representation of games. So just, for instance, Splatoon launched in May, and not only is the most prominently featured character on the cover art a female, as the female version of, like, the squid or a kid. Squid, you're a kid, you're a kid. Okay, enough.
Stop now.
It's been in my head all week. But then also, when you go to the character select, when you make your little person to play online, you don't start as default. Like, you just can choose between male and female. In so many games, you start as a male default, and you have to go into the options to change it to a female. And so it's nice to be like, hey, we don't assume you want to play as a guy for once. As well as Animal Crossing. They've made some steps there, too. So in Animal Crossing New Leaf, which Justine loves, probably 150, 200 hours into the game now. I don't know. She's played a lot. One of the big issues with that is it was almost impossible to make your character have dark skin. You would have to go to this, like, resort island and tan, like, every day to keep your character looking black. Otherwise, you would lose it and be white. And so I don't know if this has been officially confirmed, but in the E3 trailer for the new Animal Crossing game, Happy Home Designer, there looked to be some avatars of color there. So hopefully that's a thing that can happen, and you don't have to tan every day on an island to stay black.
Yeah, so really excellent steps from Nintendo. I made the mistake in reading a lot of these articles of delving into the comment sections.
No, don't do it.
Yeah, I did it. I really should keep a sticky note on my computer that just says, don't read the comments. I should do that. But having read those, I do want to respond to one thing that seemed to come up a lot, and that's a lot of people asking, why is this important? Why do we need to do this? Why do we care? And that kind of comment, and a lot of people kind of saying that advocating for this stuff is a way of censoring creator freedom or restricting creator freedom. And so I want to respond to that a little bit. And first of all, I don't think that this is restricting creator freedom at all, because you're basically just asking for more options in a game. You're asking to be able to do more things. And so there's just not a very big difference between asking for more skins, if you will, for your Animal Crossing characters, and asking to be able to grow more kinds of plants in there. If you're just looking from a development standpoint, it's not that big a deal.
And just from personal experience and talking with Justine, there's a couple of things. So in Animal Crossing New Leaf, she couldn't make her character look Asian at all. Like, her character is white, and so that's a thing. She can't, like, kind of perfectly put herself in the game. And then in Tomodachi Life, Justine's sister and her partner, she put her sister and her partner in the game, and even though they, they're in love with each other, in real life, and they're, great, they've been together forever, the two of them couldn't have a relationship in Tomodachi Life, and that just sucks. It sucks.
Right. And so
why, you don't want to have that feeling.
That's why it's so important that we have this representation in the game, and that we want players of all kinds to be able to represent themselves in game. We want people to be able to see themselves in the game, because games are supposed to be wish fulfillment, and they should be wish fulfillment for everybody. And then moving on from that too, like right now, really for worse, I think, in basically all media, white men are the default. And so you do not have to look far to see yourself represented as a white guy. And I say that as a white as snow white guy. Like, you just don't have to look that far to see yourself represented. And so having these ways in game that women can be represented, that people of color can be represented, that people of every sexual orientation can be represented is important, because those people are part of our lives, and they're great parts of our lives, and they should be represented as parts of our digital lives.
Yeah, and I don't want to go too deep in the rabbit hole, because maybe there's this blending with our perspective section here. But yeah, so again, I would say to anybody who's critics, kind of look at yourself more closely and look yourself in the mirror, because I think it was DayZ recently launched where the game would boot up and you're automatically assigned a random character. I don't know if it's male and female. It's certainly male, but I'm not sure if female too. But you're given a random skin tone. And there was so much outcry by, I assume, white males. It's like, why do I have to play as a black character? Why do I have to play as a different color skin? Why can't I, blah, 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 just change to a white character? Welcome to what it feels like to be a person of color gaming since forever.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to talk about it.
You don't like playing as a black character? Tough. I'm sure there are more than enough, black gamers who have had to play as white male protagonists their entire life.
Yeah, go play Uncharted.
Yeah. Go play any game from the PS3 360 era. That was all like grizzly, kind of stubbly white males.
Yeah,
some bald.
Actually, and if you're interested in this, there is a really great PBS game show, that is game/show, episode on YouTube about that, talking about how male stereotypes in games, that is to say that pretty much emphasizes that all men are kind of vaguely stubbly, early 30s to late 40s adventurers who are jacked to an unreasonable degree, how that hurts men and masculinity and hurts male gamers. So check that out. It's a really cool piece, and it's only like 10 or 15 minutes long. So great video, worth your time. Check that out.
All right, we've run way over, but one quick thing we could just as a footnote: GameStop announced that they're going to be buying and selling retro consoles and games, like that's the NES, SNES, Sega Genesis. It's just a pro-consumer move. I like it. It's good. If I ever wanted to pick up a Super Nintendo, since I never owned one myself, it'd be great to be able to walk into a GameStop and buy a Super Nintendo and maybe buy some Super Nintendo games. That's cool. Pro-consumer. I like it. They need to do something as we kind of move towards an increasingly digital future. So I'm definitely not opposed to them going this direction. It's cool.
Yeah, it's great.
So we would love to hear from the community the news items you all thought had the biggest impact. So please feel free to shoot us an email at impactfactorpodcast@gmail.com. And Fliss, now it's time to put things in perspective.
Perspectives.
Perspectives is part of the show, well, when any number of things can happen. In academia, it's when investigators share their opinions with the community at large. Here, it's a revolving section where we experiment with what's worth discussing. Usually, as Fliss and I will pick out an editorial piece and discuss it together. And that's what we did this week. So let's get started. Fliss, tell us a little bit about the editorial piece I found this week.
Yeah, man. Well, you chose a great piece. It's called "Here's What Scientists Think Video Games Are Actually Doing to Our Brains." It's
bad title, but
well, it's an article that, as we're getting to here, is you found on BuzzFeed. So
okay,
those article titles have to be clickbait.
Yeah, they gotta
to show up on BuzzFeed.
All right, but
and it's by Tom Shivers. I don't know. And he kind of goes over what several scientists. He goes through interviews with 5 scientists. That is neurologists and psychologists. So I mean, we're going to give the psychologists the benefit of the doubt of being scientists. And
harsh.
And they talk about the influence that playing games actually has on your brain. Alex, why don't you tell us a little bit about what these 5 guys had to say?
All right, so I would say to keep things short here, on the short side about this, essentially no good science has ever been done linking brain science to video games in a substantial way. There aren't good controls, there certainly aren't good ends or the number of candidates, and it's really hard to draw conclusions on something. A lot of the conclusions people try to draw are lifelong kind of, they have lifelong impacting theses. They try to draw conclusions about how video games will affect a person's entire life. And video games, as long as they've been around, have only been around in a substantial way for 35 years now, maybe. And so it's hard to know. People who played them when they were kids, they're only in their 40s or 50s, and so it's really hard to say how lifelong impacting a lot of stuff is. But what we know from the couple of studies that we've done, and I think the people interviewed in the BuzzFeed article agree upon, is that in limited instances, it's pretty clear that there are some cognitive benefits to playing video games. There's some kind of general increases in spatial reasoning. There's some increases in problem-solving ability. And so I think those studies are the more powerful ones where they can show these short-term positive effects. But really nothing has been done to have any kind of link on playing video games and violence. Some studies actually say the opposite, though those are hard, again, to quantify because you can't control for socioeconomic status. You can't, or all the time, you can't control for a lot of these endemic factors like home life or personality or anything like that. But it shows, again, that you really can't link playing violent video games and committing acts of violence. In fact, it seems like it might be the opposite. And then one of the persons described it as like trying to put, concisely what video games do to your brain is like saying what food does to the body. Like, it does a lot of stuff. If you eat too many donuts, if you eat 10 dozen donuts a day, you're probably going to gain weight, and you're probably going to have high cholesterol, and you're probably going to be fat. But if you eat a bunch of great stuff every day, you can, be in the best shape and the best health of your life. And so it really depends. Like, obviously, video games, like everything, is good in moderation. You're not going to get, if video games are beneficial for you on a cognitive, neurological level, they're certainly not going to be, it's not like playing 10 hours a day is going to be better for you than playing half an hour a day. You're probably going to get the same kind of cognitive benefits. But yeah, so unfortunately, a lot of this thesis is the TLDR, too long didn't listen. I mean, TLDL. Not enough good hard science has been done, but early reports with smaller, more provable theses have shown that there are some cognitive benefits, and there are no reported cognitive problems from playing video games.
Yeah, one thing that really struck me from this article, I like to tease the psychologists, but I think they've got a lot of good things to say here, is one of them writes us, this is Bernie Good of Cyber Psychologist, says that research suggests that when someone engages in video games, it gives them a sense of competence and of mastery, which is a human psychological need. And that's something that really sticks with me. It's something that I think we both feel, and we were just talking about earlier, when we talk about fighting games and getting combos down, remembering things. There's a lot of real work that goes into getting good at a lot of games. And there's a real sense of accomplishment that comes from beating a game and from exploring a story. So I think video games engage us in a lot of different ways that science has not yet been able to keep up with. And I'm really excited to understand it more and to see what science can tell us. But in the meantime, don't panic and think that video games are going to give you Alzheimer's or make your kid violent, because the current research suggests that that's not what's going to happen.
And certainly don't also think that if you play video games 12 hours a day, you're going to be the smartest person on earth. It doesn't work that way.
Everything in moderation, right? There's your life advice from the Impact Factor.
Yeah, exactly. Everything in moderation, and then also take every report with a grain of salt.
Yeah, so be critical of your science. Be critical of what you read and investigate it. Don't just read the headline. Read the whole article.
Exactly.
Read the study.
Exactly. Read the study, read other publications from these scientists to give a good feel of what the scope is like. It's really important to always do your own research into things like that, because so often it's very easy to draw conclusions from evidence from which you can draw no strong conclusion, and to create these kind of strong foundational opinions on stuff that you really don't understand. And I think one of the important things about being a scientist like Fliss and I is knowing what you don't know. It's probably more important to know what you don't know than to know what you know. Like, it might sound a little confusing, but it's it's, at least when I had my qualifying exam and as I've been moving through my PhD, it's so critical for me to understand what I don't know, which will help me move forward in trying to discern and really identify the key few things that I know and understand and I know work. And it's important. You need that skepticism, and you need that self-analysis.
Yeah, man, I couldn't agree more. So again, this is an article that Alex found for us on BuzzFeed. It's called "Here's What Scientists Think Video Games Are Actually Doing to Our Brains." It's got some great interviews, very short, easy, quick read with links to more detailed stuff and some cool websites from some cool people. It's by Tom Shivers, and take a look. We have the link.
Take a quick look. It's just 5 short paragraphs, and I know this is a little short, but it's short enough that you guys can get a read, and we've kind of blended perspectives anyway with the end Nintendo talk. So now that our work is done and logged, let's get into our experimental methods.
Experimental methods.
In experimental methods, Fliss and I talk about the video games we've been playing recently. In Fliss's case, it's probably the same games you've heard him talk about every week. No papers or pipettes, cells or senses here, just our words. We look at what works, what doesn't, and what we're looking forward to testing. I hesitate to ask this, but Fliss, what games have you been playing and testing recently?
Well, in my defense, I do not have an awesome co-op buddy the way you do to play great co-op games with me. So, what am I going to do? Wait out into the rice fields to find someone to come play these great games with me?
I'm sure you'd find someone.
Yeah, I probably could. I should try that. All right, so right now, Blizzard has me by a very sensitive area. I'm playing Heroes of the Storm. I'm playing Hearthstone. That's kind of been my gaming. I'm playing basketball. Not NBA.
That doesn't count.
Not
doesn't
NBA
count.
2K.
NBA 2K16 or 2K15?
No. I play in real life basketball. Not to establish a hierarchy there, because you're probably better than me at the NBA 2K15, so that's cool. I acknowledge that.
I have never played, but probably. I'm pretty good at these things they call video games.
Yeah, and I would buy that, and if we ever go one-on-one on the court, prepare to get your butt beat.
I don't say that. So tell us, let's do Hearthstone first, because something big has actually happened on Hearthstone. We haven't talked about it in our news and views section, but there's a brand new mode.
Yeah, man, Tavern Brawl. It's great. It's these wild, crazy games changed up every week with all kinds of different stuff. So sometimes you get a scenario to play where you're given pre-made decks. Other times you're given kind of weird other rules, kind of a la Mortal Kombat, where you have certain factors affecting the game and you're allowed to construct your own deck for it. So it's going to be a new thing every week. Really cool. I really want to praise one thing that they're doing here, which is that when you get your first win in the tavern every week, at least for right now, you get a free pack. And so this is a great way to help people build their card collections. It's even more awesome that it's a classic pack and not a Goblins versus Gnome pack, because right now that's all you can win in the arena is the GVG packs. So great way to get people a new quick way to get classic packs. It also counts for filling out your daily quests. So it's a great casual way to help people just relax and enjoy Hearthstone.
Yeah, I've heard it described that way. I think because before Tavern Brawl launched, you had ranked mode, which is just a ladder which you face versus people with equal rank as you. You can rank up, rank down, move up, or whatever. Then there's casual mode, which casual mode, which I'm sure Blizzard designed for players to be able to play not with the competition of ranked, to just kind of try out zany stuff and wacky stuff. But that's not the case. Because the ranked system is so tough and so grindy, a lot of people don't want to go there to try and get these daily quests done. So everyone will jump into casual mode to get their quests done. And so you got a lot of really, really skilled players that come into casual mode, and that combined with the weird matchmaking system that's in place in casual mode that I don't quite understand, you can face off against really, really tough opponents who are just using the standard net decks or the standard decks you see all the time on the ladder just to get wins or just to do whatever. And so it's really demoralizing, because especially new players, after you get a couple wins in casual mode, you're thrown in there with the rest of the pack of wolves. And
right.
Casual mode can be more difficult than ranked, because at least ranked you have someone of a similar rank than you. So maybe they have more skill, maybe they don't have more skill, and they just haven't decided to rank up as high or whatever. And so it's actually, honestly, that's a suggestion I would have to players, is to not be afraid of ranked mode, because chances are you're probably going to play people closer to your level of skill in ranked than you are in casual.
Which is ridiculous, and they really need to do something about that. But Tavern Brawl is a really good step in the right direction. It's always great to have more content. It's always great to have more game modes. I think this is a really fun thing. I think it's something that is really ambitious, because it's going to be a huge amount of work for them to be.
Yeah, they refresh it every week.
Yeah. So I don't know how sustainable it is. I don't know whether we'll start seeing them recycle it every once in a while, but hopefully it will keep being awesome because so far it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. So we're one weekend. Last week was what Fliss described. You got to play as these two different characters, Nefarian and Ragnaros, and they had crazy, way overpowered decks, but because they're playing against each other, it's kind of goofy. And because this is like a true casual mode, like I lost some and I didn't really care because I'm just playing around with these like crazy decks. This week is a little bit different. You can build your own deck, but they have these crazy thing where if one of your creatures die or one of your minions die, you get a banana, and bananas have like different effects. And I've played once just to get my win, and I played 1-1-1, so I'm pretty good at this game. But yeah, it's just fun.
Look at this guy.
No luck. I got that skilled deck building.
All get out.
Oh man.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. The bananas are great. But you know what it really does is it adds so much random chance, what we call RNG, right? That random number generator. It adds so much of that into the game that you just kind of get to throw up your hands and say, this isn't really a test of my skill as a player. This is just having fun. And I really enjoy that.
Hearthstone needed a mode like that.
And
where it's just goofy, having fun, don't care if you win or lose.
Yeah, and that said, to all you people right now, because I've been really enjoying the bananas, and I've been playing some really wacky decks in this banana mode, to all of you people who I've encountered who are just running a standard mech mage in that mode, get off Hearthstone. Go, or go on the ladder. Take that mech mage where it belongs. Take it somewhere else. Get it out of my casual mode.
Yeah, I was just playing tempo mage, so ha!
You're part of the problem. Look at this guy. Look at this guy threatening to pre-order games. Now he's running standard net decks in a casual mode. You're the problem, Fred. You are the problem.
I wanted to win quick, okay? I wanted to win quick. And it's not standard. I replaced Shredders. Well, I added Violet Teachers to have more minions, and then I also put Gazlo in it.
You keep talking, but all I hear is net deck.
I put Gazlo in it. Gazlo is not in any net decks.
That is true.
And to be fair, I put in Gazlo again. He's a legendary. He's a legendary minion, 6 mana, 3/6. Whenever you play a 1 mana spell, add a mech to your hand. He's never played any decks, but each banana you get from like your minions dying in this tavern brawl this week is a 1 mana spell. And so my thought was I could drop them and then drop like 4 1-mana spells to have like 4 mechs in my hand. But it never happened. Well, I only played one game, but I never drew Gazlo.
Just go make a fun casual deck.
This is a fun casual deck. It's fun to win.
Play my Implosion Warlock right now, which is a banana farm.
You gotta be careful though, because I overdrew one turn because I had so many darn bananas in my hand.
Oh yeah, that's definitely happened to me. So yeah, but anyway, we're getting distracted here. Fun mode, good thing to see in Hearthstone. It's a lot of fun. If you are playing Hearthstone and you haven't checked it out, I think you'll be happy with it. And Heroes of the Storm. Yeah, moving right along.
I know we talk about it a lot. I don't want to talk about this every week. So Fliss, I'm going to task you right now. You need to have played another game you could talk about next week. You've got a couple extra days, because we'll talk about this at the end. Our podcast next week is going to be a couple days late. Not too late, but a couple days late.
Yeah, and we'll talk about what Moneybags over there is doing that's going to delay the podcast. We've established this before, that Alex is pay to win, and he is also pay to win at vacations. We'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, Heroes of the Storm. I will have another game to talk about. I don't want to go too much in depth with Heroes of the Storm. It's still a lot of fun. It's still a lot more fun with more people. I don't know. I don't know what multiplier would you use. I would use at least 3 times more fun with someone, if not more. Yeah, I would say
if you're playing with at least one friend.
It's exponentially more fun the more friends you add to the game.
Exponentially? To the power of what?
Yeah, now you're talking math to me.
You glazed over.
Yeah, just you can see it in my eyes. It's just right over, just like a donut, glazed right over.
I want a donut now.
Yeah,
but yeah, actually, we had a quick game before we started recording this.
Yeah, we did pretty well.
Awesome. We did. It was back and forth. We had a bunch of the free-to-play rotation heroes on our team. I was playing as a Nubarak. Fliss was playing as Sergeant Hammer. Yeah, then we had a Thrall. We had a Nazebo, and we had a... What was the last one? Another free-to-play hero this week.
Lily. It was
Lily.
Combat Lily.
Lily. Combat Lily. That Lily likes initiating team fights. I don't know why. But yeah, so it's tough. We went back and forth. But I think the Nazebo player kind of took the lead on our team. That was nice.
Helped a lot.
Fliss and I were directing people around. Capture objectives. We're on haunted mines. Back and forth. But we got 2 golems in a row that had like way more skulls than them. Pushed. Won some good team fights. I was initiating with a nuke rack. Fliss was coming in, dropping some orbital BFGs. And then, okay, this is kind of like a crazy like game story here. But all of us were down in the mines, capturing the golem, just kind of like whatever, just trying to get skulls. And then all of a sudden, the game ends, and we're like, "What the heck happened?" The camera zooms out and pans to our one Thrall player that just was attacking their core randomly. Like we hadn't even started attacking their core. We had done no damage to their core. We just pushed like their keeps and then retreated. And then apparently Thrall just went in and destroyed the core single-handedly.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was hilarious. The game was so much fun, especially because, we were getting down early. We had some bad feeds. We were losing a few lanes. And so to be able to come back, anytime you can have a comeback win in a game like that, it's so exciting. And I'm really enjoying playing Sergeant Hammer, which is a cool, kind of different style of character to play. It's something that I don't know exists in other games of this type. I'm not super familiar with those, so Bloxitips will have to correct me later. But it's fun. And Heroes of the Storm, it's addictive, and I'm trying to keep Moneybags here from investing any real money in it.
I'm so tempted.
Don't do it. Stay strong, buddy. Keep being real free to play. I mean, this is a guy who bought digital cardboard at Hearthstone, so he likes throwing his money at the screen.
So did you.
Whoa. I bought an adventure mode. Okay?
Yeah,
I bought content. I bought real content.
Okay. I'm going to buy more digital cardboard when an expansion releases. I guarantee it.
And I'm going to judge you for it. He will be called out on this podcast.
Okay, I've probably played, conservatively 400 to 500 hours of Hearthstone. So I'm okay giving them $50 every 6 months.
Yeah, and speaking of investing time into a game, I think I'm now up to 46 games of Heroes of the Storm, which at a conservative estimate of 20 minutes per game is
do the math.
A really large number of hours.
It's 46. So 46 divided 20, 23. Okay, large. That's a good old Fliss math. All right, he's got his pen and paper out, folks. He's doing it on the side.
Yeah, it was one of those great things about math class, right? Where they said, you're never going to always have a calculator with you. You're never going to have that. And then smartphones came along, and you do always have a calculator in your pocket, no matter what you're doing. So,
all right, so Fliss is still taking his time. A simple math problem. Come on, buddy.
You fill some space. Tell us about Lego Jurassic World.
All right. So one last thing about Heroes of the Storm. One of the things I really like about it, and I'm sure maybe Fliss can agree with me here, is we're fighting game players. That's one of the games we played. Obviously we both play everything, and I'm especially omnivorous. But fighting games is one of the genres that I really like, and again, I think I'll keep on harping on it in this podcast. I think is really underappreciated. But one of the things I really like about playing Heroes of the Storm, and I would assume that I like about playing other MOBAs, is it really drew inspiration from these fighting games to have these unique heroes, which are these unique fighting game characters. And it's fun to try them out and learn their skill talents and play, because obviously when you're playing Blanca or you're playing Ryu in a Street Fighter, it's so different to play the two of them, and it's a similar feeling, not the same feeling, but similar feeling. If you're playing Muradin or you're playing Vala, they're completely different from one another, even though you're still acting in the same space. And in that way, Heroes of the Storm is kind of scratching my fighting game itch, because I get some of the positive stuff I liked from playing fighting games online, but even when we lose, it's kind of nice to not be isolated, because when you lose in a fighting game, you're the person. I have no one to blame. I clearly messed up, which is why you start blaming there's lag and blah blah. I didn't input the button that way.
The math is in now. I'm up to roughly just over 15 hours here in Heroes of the Storm, so not a whole lot, but given that it's only been a week and a half, that's pretty significant for my game time. I have a full-time job, so I don't have as much game time as those.
You and me both, man.
Yeah, so...
but yes, so I think you would agree, Fliss, that it's kind of the best. It gives you some of that good feeling that fighting games give you.
Yeah, it definitely does, and I like the ability to play with another person. I've always liked tag games where you can play multiplayer in your fighting games. I like that. I think the community,
it's bad.
It needs work. There needs to be.
We're playing apparently like the one that has the best community.
Yeah.
Of like the big ones, of the big players, League of Legends, Dota, and Heroes.
Right, and I say this as a new player, so I guess people can judge me for that, but I just think that there needs to be kind of more friendliness, because as soon as people start flaming each other on team, our team collapses every time, and I hate seeing that. Even if you mute the chat, I hate seeing that because it's not fun for anybody. So again, I said this last week, I'll say it again this week, I'll probably say it next week no matter what game I'm talking about, but whenever you game, bring your fellow gamers up with you. Do not try and push yourself up off the shoulders of your other gamers. Try and bring everybody up together.
Agreed. So just quickly, Lego Jurassic World is the game I've been playing. It's on my experimental methods. I've been playing through completely co-op with Justine, and it's great. It's been a long time since I played a Lego game. I think I dallied in one of the Lego Star Warses years ago with my little brother, but they're great. They're super fun, easy co-op games. I could see it a blast if you're a parent playing with your child, or me playing with Justine. It's fun. They the simple kind of puzzles, and you to run around and break everything, and these Lego studs emerge, and some simple puzzles. But the most fun with these Lego games is they pretty hilariously interpret the Jurassic Park movies in Lego form, and so you see a lot of your favorite scenes, but with these goofy Lego characters, and they've pulled voices from the movies, so it's funny hearing Jeff Goldblum going ha 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 ha.
That sounds great.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks. I got the cadence down. I need to get the more nasaliness down.
Hey, come on, man. You studied French for years. You should be able to talk through your nose.
But it's a kids game too, so they've kind of toned down the horror, and there's goofy stuff, and when the lawyer gets eaten in Jurassic Park 1. Spoilers for people who haven't seen a movie that came out in 1992. He is brushing the T-Rex's teeth as opposed to being bitten, and they skip some the more graphic deaths in the Lost World. But it's still cute and fun, and I love the Jurassic Park movies. As bad as they all are, it's fun to play through them. It's great to play through co-op with Justine. We're doing these puzzles together, and we're okay, you do this, I'll do this, and then we help over here, and you need to shoot that target to lower this, and it's just fun. We're 2/5 of the way through Jurassic World, which is the last game, and we're probably going to stop once we finish the 4 main games. But we've gotten a good number of hours out of it. It's been great. It's been fun. I've been really, really, really clamoring for a game I can play through with Justine. It hasn't been since Borderlands the pre-sequel, which was December of last year, that we sat down and played a game cooperatively together. And I like those competitive experiences. Justine and I had a good time playing Nidhogg versus each other, but especially for us, we much more prefer these games we can play cooperatively. So yeah, I would recommend, again, any of those Lego games. I've heard great things about pretty much all of the recent ones. So if there's any franchise you're really invested in, pick up Lego The Hobbit, or Lego Lord of the Rings, or Lego Star Wars, or Lego Jurassic World, whatever is your franchise of choice. I think if you're looking for a fun game, even solo, but especially if you have a co-op partner, it's just goofy and fun to play through those things. And they made a really solid model. They made a really solid framework for which these are built upon. And Lego Dimensions looks super fun too, which is coming out. I don't think I'll get that, but yeah, it's been great. I've been really kind of been in the Jurassic Park mood ever since Jurassic World came out. We've been playing this game. It's been good.
Excellent, man. Well, I'm glad you're getting your dinosaur fix.
Getting my dinosaur fix. And then next week, I'll have some other games to talk about, but the next big game I'm going to jump in is Batman Arkham Knight.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing your spoiler-free thoughts on Arkham
Knight. Let's finish this up quickly with a little bit of odds and ends in a section we call errata, which is just everything else. All right, I found something that's going to make you cry a little bit.
I'm ready. Lay it on me.
So, on a NeoGAF thread, apparently there was some interview with Tetsuo Nomura, who's the lead behind a bunch of Square Enix everything these days, kind of unfortunately, but is also the lead behind Kingdom Hearts 3. And according to him, so take this with a tractor-trailer-sized block of salt, he said that Kingdom Hearts 3 the team behind it do have a release date. Maybe they mean window, maybe they mean date. It's hard to know, but a release date in mind, but they just didn't want to announce it yet.
Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? I was this close to winning E3 on a stupid prediction. Oh man, I would have been rubbing your face in that for years. Years.
Yeah, so for people who don't know or have forgotten or didn't listen or whatever, one of our predictions for the E3 prediction special episode, which you can find episode 5, it's a good one. Listen in, folks.
We were excited about it.
Fliss predicted, his crazy prediction at first was that Kingdom Hearts 3 would have a release date, which was just so crazy, so stupid. I'm like, all right, if this is right, and if they actually announce a release date for this game, which is so early in development, that's worth 100,000 points, whereas our other predictions were worth 1 and 3 points. So, like, you would win.
I wouldn't just win. I would massacre. I would have just destroyed you. I would have, like, had to carry over points into next year from that.
Yeah. So, that was not the case. They didn't announce the release date, but I guess it's a little evidence that, Fliss, you were so close to winning, but you didn't. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna. This has been a salty episode for me. I'm gonna be salty about this now too.
Any other errata, Fliss, you want to talk about?
Yeah, man. Well, hey, we mentioned this earlier, but Mad Max is out in Japan. I'm really looking forward to seeing it. I can't wait to. I've been enjoying what I call a Max Stravaganza, where I'm catching up on all the previous Mad Max movies. I've seen the original Mad Max, The Road Warrior, and then I've also now seen the second Mad Max. So I'm really excited about seeing the fourth Mad Max. I haven't watched the third one yet, Under the Thunderdome, but I will tomorrow night.
Tina Turner. Everyone loves Tina Turner in that.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see it. I've never seen it before. It's cool seeing a young Mel Gibson in these movies because it kind of reminds you of what he was like before he was very openly a jerk.
Yeah, but it's hard to. I mean, maybe he was a jerk back
right,
then too.
But we just didn't know. We didn't know, so we could kind of separate that a little bit better in these movies. He almost doesn't look like himself. I mean, that guy has gotten fat. Whoa.
He looks weird.
He looks a little weird now.
Did you like I especially like number 2, The Road Warrior?
Yeah, my brother and I were talking about this, and in number 1, you can definitely see places where they wanted to do more and they were really limited by their budget. And there are places in number 1 where it kind of drags. And by modern pacing, I don't think the first movie would be acceptable. You could almost cut, 30 minutes out of that movie without losing too much, just in the terms of way dialogue progresses. But number 2, I mean, so here's a fun fact. I'm a huge fan of the anime and manga Fist of the North Star, and even my blog, Fliss of the North Star, takes off from that a little bit. And
Good plug.
Thank you. And Google Fist of the North Star and pull up some screenshots of the second Mad Max film. And the second Mad Max film came out, I think it was the year before that manga debuted. And you can see down to the point of what would probably now be considered plagiarism, the level of inspiration that Fist of the North Star took from Mad Max. And I can just see the author of that manga sitting there and watching this movie and thinking, I love everything about this movie. I love this aesthetic. I love these characters. I'm going to outright steal one of these villains and put him into my comic. But you know what it needs? It needs a Japanese guy doing kung fu. That's what it needs. And you know what? He was right. He was absolutely right. 100%. That's what it needed.
Oh, gosh.
And Alex, you're going to watch Fist of the North Star with me, and you're going to love it. So
no, I'm not.
We'll have
I guarantee you I will.
What's going to happen?
I guarantee you Road Warrior is far better than the anime Fist of the North Star.
Look, Fist of the North Star, the anime, is one of these early anime where it is on that scale of good and bad, where it is so bad that it comes around and becomes good again. You're going to love it. You're going to love it.
I'm sure. Well, I'm very excited for you to see Mad Max Fury Road. That movie is awesome. It's great. Oh, man. All right, take us to the close.
All right, man. Well, hey, thank you all for hanging out with us. Thanks for listening to our opinions. Please share your opinions with us. You can find me on Twitter at @thecfliss. That's at THECFLISS. Also, check out my blog, the aforementioned Fliss of the North Star, for my thoughts on pop culture, Japan, and more. I had kind of a break in my update schedule this past week because of basketball, but I will this coming week, be posting my article about the Nintendo World Championships and making an argument that professional gaming and quote-unquote esports need to be taking their cues not from professional team sports in the United States, but rather need to be taking their cues from pro wrestling. And the way we market that and the way we talk about it needs to maybe shift to a more pro wrestling based format. So check that out. I like to think it's interesting, and I'd love to hear what you think about it. So come on, hang out, send us your thoughts.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. Fliss, when will this be posted?
Monday.
Ooh,
I guarantee it.
Yeah, okay. We'll see about this guarantee. This vlog schedule can be rocky at times. Oh man. Well, thank you everyone for spending some time with us. We really appreciate it. There's a couple people I know who listen to this every week, or listen to at least a lot of this every week. I really appreciate this. Share it with your friends, please. It'd be awesome if we could get a couple more people who listen to this, because we have such a good time recording it. Hopefully, you guys have a good time listening to it. I'd like more people to enjoy listening to it too.
And we'd really like to get more of your thoughts. Please, please, please send us emails, send us tweets, because we want to have fun with you, because it's pretty clear we're having fun with each other.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
If you're hearing this now, chances are you found it on our SoundCloud. That's soundcloud.com/theimpactfactor. Please look us up on the iTunes store and subscribe there to get direct downloads of the new episode each week. That's awesome. It's the easiest way. You get a new episode, you can save it, you have us forever. You got us downloaded, you're good to go. Rating us there and writing reviews would do a lot for us. So again, in the description of either if you're hearing this on SoundCloud, or if you're finding this on YouTube, or even if you're seeing us on iTunes, all the information is linked there below. For an archive of our old episodes, check us out on our YouTube account by clicking the link in our description, or by searching the Impact Factor video games. The Impact Factor is an extension of my blog about video games, the impactfactor.blogspot.com. Check there every Tuesday for a new article or review, and every Friday for my curation of the best written pieces from the world of gaming. This week has been a special one, as I've been reflecting upon and synthesizing a lot of the key takeaways from E3 2015. On Tuesday, I posted my thoughts about E3 in general, E3 2015 specifically, and my takeaways from Microsoft's big press conference. Yesterday, I posted my thoughts about Sony's press conference and Nintendo and their presence at E3. And then today, on Thursday, or yesterday for you guys who are hearing it, on Thursday there will be my game of the show. So please check that out. That's the impactfactor.blogspot.com. Let me know what you think. Leave some comments. Hit me up on Twitter. That's at Alex Samocha. That's Alex Samocha, like the coffee. Let me know what you think. I'm still kind of on a little bit of withdrawal from E3. It was such a great time, and especially now this bummer kind of week of news we had coming right out of it.
It's been rough.
Yeah, it's been rough. So, again, we'd love to hear what you guys think, you guys and gals think. So send comments and suggestions for the podcast at impactfactorpodcast@gmail.com. And Fliss, everyone listening, until next time, make an impact.